line to say at the right moment, some emotional topic that unlocks something real, some clever way to show him who you are after the conversation has been going for a while. And all of that matters. But none of it matters as much as what happens in the first 5 seconds when you walk up to a man and say hello. That greeting, that tiny, ordinary, completely overlooked moment is quietly deciding whether he feels something for you or nothing at all. Whether something sparks or whether everything that follows is just two people talking. And once you understand the 4 rules behind it, you will never throw that moment away again. Here is why the greeting carries this much weight. A man does not build feelings for a woman the way most women think he does. He does not sit down and think it through. He does not weigh up your qualities and your values and carefully decide to feel something. That is not how it works for him. He gets hit by a feeling first in his chest, in his gut, in some part of him that has no words attached to it, and then his brain shows up later and builds the whole story around it. The thinking comes after the feeling. Always. And that feeling either gets planted in the first moment in the greeting, in the energy, in the way you walk into his space, or it gets buried under a pile of ordinary and never quite surfaces the way you want it to. So if you have ever been around a man you liked and felt like something was almost there but never fully arrived, like there was a connection sitting just out of reach and you could not figure out how to get to it, the greeting is almost certainly where it got lost. Not because you are not enough, not because you said the wrong thing later, but because nobody ever told you that this moment has a structure, that the way you show up in those first few seconds is sending him a signal he is reading completely without realizing it. And the signal most women send is the same one they send to everyone else in their day. The coworker, the friend, the person they run into at the grocery store. Warm, fine, automatic, forgettable. And forgettable does not start a fire in someone. Forgettable does not keep a man thinking about you 2 hours after you have left the room. So what does? That is exactly what these 4 rules are about. And the first one is going to feel like it goes against everything you have been told about how to make a man feel good around you. Most women believe that the way to make a man feel something is to give him a lot of warmth the moment they see him. Light up completely, big energy, big smile, excited tone, full open warmth from the very first second. And warmth is not the problem. Warmth is good. Warmth is real and it matters. But here is what most women do not see about leading with everything at once. When you give a man the full picture in the greeting, when you pour it all out in those first 5 seconds, you have handed him the answer before he even had a chance to ask the question. And men, without ever thinking about it consciously, stop paying attention to answers they already have. There is no pull, no curiosity, no quiet feeling in the back of his mind that there is something here he has not fully figured out yet. You have already told him everything, and now there is nothing left to discover. This is the first rule. Do not give everything in the greeting. Give him something genuine, something warm, something real, but hold a piece of yourself back. A smile that arrives slowly is more powerful than one that was already fully there before he even looked up. Eye contact that holds just a second longer than he expected does more work than 100 warm words ever could. The greeting should feel like the beginning of something, like a door opening, just slightly, not the whole thing delivered all at once. Because what wakes up in a man when a greeting feels like that, when it feels like there is more here than he just got, is curiosity. And curiosity in a man is not a small thing. Curiosity turns into thinking about you when you are not around. It turns into wanting to see you again. It turns into feelings he starts attaching your name to without fully understanding where they came from. Think about the last time you walked up to a man you liked. What did you do? Did you give him everything immediately, or did you hold something back? Most women, when they really think about it, realize they go all in right away because they are nervous. And the warmth is a way of managing that nervousness. It is a way of filling the silence before it becomes uncomfortable. But what feels safe to you in that moment is exactly what is working against you, because the space you are rushing to fill, that slight tension, that slight uncertainty, is actually where his interest lives. You do not want to remove it. You want to let it breathe. Write your answer in the comments right now. When you walk up to a man you like, do you give too much, too fast, or do you naturally hold something back? Think about the last time. Be honest with yourself, because that honesty is where things start to shift. And If this is already hitting something, like and subscribe because there are 3 more rules and they only get deeper from here. Now here is rule 2. And this is the one most women completely skip. Not because it is difficult, but because it seems too small to bother with, too obvious to matter. It does not feel like a technique because it is so simple. But simple things done well are almost always the ones that land the hardest. When you greet a man, say his name. That is it. Just say his name. Not in a big way, not in a dramatic way, not in a way that makes it obvious you are doing something on purpose. Just let his name land in the greeting naturally, like it belongs there, like saying it is the most normal thing in the world to you. Hey, and then his name. Good to see you. And then his name. Something quiet and easy and completely unremarkable in its delivery. And here is why it works in a way that almost nothing else can in those first few seconds. A man's name is the most personal sound in the world to him. It is the one word that has been attached to him his entire life. Every important moment, every real connection, every time someone truly saw him, his name was part of it. When you use it, when you drop it into the greeting quietly and naturally, something in him registers without him thinking about it. He feels, not thinks, feels that you see him as a specific person. Not as a guy in the room, not as just someone she said hello to, him, specifically him. And that feeling of being specifically seen is one of the fastest ways to plant something in a man's chest that he will carry around for the rest of the day without knowing where it came from. The tone matters too. It cannot be loud or performative or like you are announcing something. It needs to be quiet and easy, like you have said his name before and you will say it again, and it is just a natural part of how you talk to him. That tone is the thing that makes it land as real instead of as a move. And when it lands as real, when he hears his name in your voice in that easy, natural way, there is a warmth that goes through him that is different from anything else you could say to him in that moment. Most men move through their whole day surrounded by people who look past them. Co-workers who are half distracted when they talk, people who say hi without actually looking. A whole world that is mostly moving too fast to slow down and actually see anyone. And then you walk up and say his name like he is someone worth saying it to. Like his presence is something you actually noticed and it hits him somewhere real. It is not a trick. It is just one of the most human things you can do for another person. Truly acknowledging that they are there. Type in the comments whether you do this already or whether this is something you are going to start paying attention to. And share this with a woman who is around a man she likes right now and needs to hear this. Because rule 3 is where most women get completely lost, and it is the rule that does the heaviest lifting of all. Most women, when they greet a man, they are thinking about themselves, and they do not realize they are doing it. It does not feel like self-focus. It feels like nervousness or awareness or just paying attention. But what is actually happening inside is a running commentary. How do I look right now? Is my voice coming out normal? Does he seem interested? Am I being too much? Am I being not enough? Is this landing the way I want it to? And all of that internal noise, all of that self-watching and self-checking and self-managing shows up on the outside in ways you cannot hide, no matter how hard you try to cover them. Your eyes are slightly unfocused because your real attention is turned inward. Your smile is slightly tight because part of you is monitoring yourself while it is happening. Your energy has a slightly nervous edge that sits underneath everything and colors the whole interaction. And a man feels all of that, not because he is analyzing you. He is not sitting there thinking about what is off. He just knows something is slightly not landing. Something is slightly guarded. Something is slightly held away from him. And guarded does not feel like connection to a man. Guarded feels like a wall he does not know how to get through. Guarded feels like work. Rule 3 is this. In the greeting, put all of your attention on him. Not on yourself, on him. What does he look like today? What kind of energy is he carrying when he walks in? Does he seem light or tired or somewhere in between? Be genuinely curious about him in that moment. Not as a strategy, not as something you are doing to create an effect. As a real person standing in front of you with a whole world inside him that you do not fully know yet. When your attention is genuinely on someone like that, when you are actually present with them. Instead of being busy watching yourself, something shifts in your energy that he can feel immediately. You stop performing the greeting and you start having it. Your eyes land on him differently. Your smile comes from somewhere real because it is responding to him, not to the picture of yourself you are trying to manage. Your whole body relaxes slightly because you are not holding anything up anymore. And he feels the difference in a way that goes straight past his thinking brain and into something deeper. This is what women who are naturally magnetic do without ever thinking about it as a technique. They are just actually there, fully there, not checking the room, not managing how they come across, not running a checklist in their head while they smile, just present with the person in front of them. And presence is the most attractive thing in the world. It is rare in a way that most people do not even recognize until they feel it. Because most people are somewhere else even when they are standing right in front of you. Most people are in their head. Most people are managing. And then someone shows up who is just actually there, and something in you goes completely still for a second because you have not felt that in a long time. That is what you can give a man in a greeting. Just by being actually there, just by turning your attention fully outward and letting yourself be genuinely interested in him. Not as a move, as a choice. And that choice costs you nothing and changes everything about how the interaction feels to him. Answer this in the comments, honestly. Do you think you are fully present in the greeting, or is your attention usually somewhere else? Think about it for real before you answer, because the answer is going to show you something important. Like and subscribe and stay with me, because rule 4 is the one that pulls everything together, and it is the one most relationship advice completely ignores. Rule 4 is the physical element of the greeting. And before you skip past it, thinking you already know what this means, stay with it. Because this is not what most people talk about when they talk about physical attraction. This is smaller than that, more specific, and far more powerful in that first moment than anything dramatic or obvious. Most women, when they greet a man, they either pull back slightly without realizing it, or they go too far in the other direction and make the physical element feel like a performance. And both of those things send the wrong signal. The pulling back, keeping just a little more distance than necessary, letting go of the handshake a beat too fast, angling the body slightly away, sends a signal straight into his gut that something here is uncertain, that she is not quite sure about him or about herself in this moment. And uncertainty from her creates uncertainty in him. It creates a wall that neither of you asked for. But the performance, the hug that is clearly bigger than the relationship, the touch on the arm that feels deliberate and staged is not the answer either. Because a man can feel the difference between ease and effort in a physical moment instantly. When it feels like effort, it does not feel like attraction. It feels like strategy. And strategy does not trigger feelings. It triggers defenses. What rule 4 is actually about is ease. The small, natural, physical element in the greeting that happens because you are comfortable being in his space, not because you planned it. A hand briefly on his arm when you say hello. Leaning in slightly closer than you needed to when you were talking. A hug that lasts just a second longer than the quick social one everyone gives everyone. Something that tells his body before his mind has any say in it that you are comfortable being near him, that the distance between you is not a problem for you, that being in his space feels easy and natural. And here is why this particular thing hits so hard. A man who is attracted to a woman is highly aware of physical space. He notices the distance between you even when you are talking about something completely unrelated. He notices whether you find a reason to stay close or a reason to keep a bit of distance. He notices whether the physical moment in the greeting is easy or slightly tense. And all of that noticing happens below the level of words. It happens in his body before he has processed a single thing you have said. So when the physical element of the greeting is natural and easy, when you let yourself be close without making it a thing, his body registers ease, comfort, safety. The feeling that being around you does not require him to guess where he stands. And ease and comfort are not soft or boring feelings in the context of attraction. They are the ground that real attraction grows out of. The kind that builds instead of burning out. So put all 4 rules together and see what they look like as one thing. A greeting that holds something back, instead of pouring everything out immediately. Because your depth is worth discovering slowly. And what he has not figured out yet is what keeps him thinking. A greeting that uses his name quietly and easily because he is a specific person and you see him that way. A greeting where your full attention is on him rather than on yourself, where you are actually there, actually looking, actually present in a way that he will feel but will not be able to name. And a greeting with a small natural physical element that closes the gap slightly and tells his body that being near you is easy. Those 4 things together in 5 seconds, that is the whole thing. And before you tell yourself that sounds too simple, think about how many times you have stood in front of a man you liked and not one of those 4 things was fully there. Think about how many greetings you have given on complete autopilot. The same flat hi you give your coworker. The same distracted smile you give the person you run into at the door while standing right in front of a man whose feelings you quietly hoped to reach. The greeting was the door the whole time, and you walked past it every single time without knowing it was there. The men who fell hard for a woman they met briefly, the ones who could not stop thinking about her after a short conversation and had no idea why those women understood something about the first moment. Some of them learned it. Some of them always carried it naturally without ever putting words to it. But they understood that the first 5 seconds are not a formality. They are not the throwaway part before the real thing starts. They are the moment a man's feelings either get touched or get skipped entirely. They are the spark or the silence. And you now know exactly what creates the spark. None of these 4 rules ask you to be someone you are not. None of them ask you to perform or pretend or follow a script that does not feel like you. Every single one of them just asks you to be more fully and more intentionally yourself in that one small moment. Hold something back, not because you are playing a game, but because you are someone worth discovering slowly. Say his name, not because it is a technique, but because he is a real person, and that is how you see him. Be present, not as a move, but because he is actually worth your real attention. Let yourself be close, because being near him does not make you uncertain, and he deserves to feel that ease coming from you. When those 4 things land together in a greeting, something happens in a man that he will spend the rest of the day quietly trying to understand. A pull toward you that he did not expect and did not plan for. A thought of you that keeps coming back when something else was supposed to be taking up his attention. A feeling in his chest when he sees your name come up on his phone later that evening. Not because of anything you said. Not because of anything impressive you showed him. Because you made him feel something real in 5 seconds that most women never make him feel across an entire evening. So the next time you are about to walk up to him, before you get there, remember what those 5 seconds are worth. Slow down just a little. Let the smile come instead of pushing it out. Drop his name into the hello like it belongs there. Put your eyes on him and actually look at him like he is the most interesting thing in the room right now. Find the small, natural way to close the gap just slightly and then let it be easy. Because you now understand what those 5 seconds are actually for, and that understanding changes everything about how you show up in them. When you do that, when all 4 of those things are in the greeting, you will not need to wonder afterward whether something landed. You will already know, because you will feel the difference in how it went. In the way he held eye contact a little longer than usual, in the way the conversation that followed felt different from the ones before it, in the way something shifted in the air between you that was not there before and that neither of you had words for. That is the greeting. That is what it is actually for. And now you know how to use it. Write in the comments which of the 4 rules is the one you are going to work on first. Which one hit the hardest when you read it. And share this with a woman who is right now in her head about a man she likes, trying to figure out the right thing to say, not realizing that the